All right, today we're diving into a really big story, a huge shift in the world of money coming out of China. We're talking about their digital yuan and a brand new change that could honestly redefine what we all expect from our currency. I want you to think about this for a sec. All that money you have sitting in your PayPal, your Venmo, or whatever digital wallet you use, it just sits there, right? Super convenient for zapping money to a friend, but it's not actually working for you. But what if it did? What if just by holding on to your digital cash, you actually earned more of it?
Well, guess what? That's not a hypothetical question anymore. China just announced its digital yuan is going to do exactly that. Now, the change doesn't officially kick in until January 1st, 2026, but this week's announcement, it's a massive signal. The game is totally changed, so let's get into it.
Okay, before we jump into why they're doing this, we gotta cover the what. What in the world is this digital yuan, or ECNY, that we're talking about?
The ECNY is what's called a central bank digital currency, or CBDC for short. Now, this isn't some startup creating a new coin. Think of it as the digital twin of a paper yuan bill. It's created and, more importantly, guaranteed by China's central bank. This is official state money, just in a purely digital form.
And this is where it's super important to get the distinctions right. The ECY is not like Alipay or WeChat Pay. Those are basically private companies, payment services that just help you move existing money around. And it is definitely not a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, which is built on a decentralized network. The key thing to remember here is that the digital yuan is official state money, coming straight from the top.
So, you'd think that being the first one out of the gate would guarantee you win the race, right? Well, for the digital yuan, it didn't quite work out that way. Even though China was one of the very first major economies to push a CBDC, they hit a massive wall, actually getting people to use the thing.
In this timeline, wow, it really puts things into perspective. They started testing this thing out over a decade ago, but fast forward to today, to 2024, and adoption is still described as limited. So, after all that time and all that effort, something clearly had to change. And that brings us to this huge strategic pivot they've set for 2026.
I mean, it's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? You've got the full backing of the state, this massive project. So why was it having such a hard time getting everyday people on board?
And this chart, this pretty much says it all. The ECNY wasn't just launching into an empty field. It was trying to break into a market that was already completely dominated by two private tech giants, Alipay and WeChat Pay. I mean, look at that, a 95% market share between them. These apps are just woven into the fabric of daily life. So the ECNY wasn't just fighting against other tech. It was fighting against deep-seated habits.
So how in the world do you compete with that? You can't just force millions of people to switch. You have to give them a reason, a really good one, a reason they just can't ignore. And that's exactly what this big new incentive is all about. This quote from the state media outlet CCTV just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures the change. Think about it. The cash on your wallet, it doesn't grow, it's just cash. But money you put into a savings account, a deposit, that earns interest. By making this one change, the ECNY gets this powerful new feature that its biggest rivals just don't have.
And, this isn't just a big deal for China. This is a global first. No other major central bank has done this. While other countries are still just talking about and testing their own CBDCs, China just leapfrogged the entire conversation by adding a feature that completely changes what state-backed digital money can be.
But hey, offering interest isn't some magic bullet they're firing off on its own. Nope. It's just one part of a much bigger, very coordinated strategy. At the exact same time, they're cracking down even harder on crypto, which isn't just about regulation, it's about getting rid of the competition. They're also rolling out a whole new action plan to build out the ECNY ecosystem. And they're looking outward, pushing to expand its use across borders.
And here are the real nuts and bolts of that plan. We're seeing new frameworks for how the whole thing is managed, plus stronger oversight on all digital payments. But check out that third point, a new international operations center in Shanghai. That's not just paperwork. That's them building the actual plumbing for a new kind of global finance, one where the ECNY could be a major player.
So, okay, it's a huge move inside China, we get that. But what does it mean for the rest of us? Why should a decision made in Beijing matter in London or New York or wherever you're watching this? All right, let's just boil this all down. At home, this gives Chinese citizens a really compelling reason to start using the ECNY, taking the fight directly to those big private tech companies. But the global ripples are even bigger. China is now setting the precedent for every other central bank out there.
They're basically writing the CBDC playbook for everyone else to see. And this signals a whole new chapter in the global competition over the future of money.
Which really just leaves us with this final thought. What we're watching here is a live experiment in how money itself evolves. By making digital cash actually work for its people, China has thrown down the gauntlet. The huge question now is, will it work? And maybe even more important for the rest of the world, who's going to be next?